So next, we have the first of many conversations that we were bound to have. Once the Pantera tour became such a successful thing. As the show has continued on, it's gained momentum, and at this point, these motherfuckers are selling out some very large venues. People bring up how Vinny felt about the prospect of getting Pantera back together with Zakk Wylde in the place of his brother Dimebag. He said he never wanted to have shit to do with it. He compared the whole situation to like an ex-wife that won't leave you the fuck alone. The way the show comes off, it's clearly a celebration of the band, but as it has gained momentum, as it's gotten bigger, you hear how great these motherfuckers sound, and it was a conversation that we were going to have eventually. Will the band record new music, and what the fuck are they going to be called? If so, because if these motherfuckers recorded some new music as quote unquote Pantera,
you fucker, you fucking bitch,
people would be freaking the fuck out, setting themselves on fire outside of Phil's house. It would just be mass hysteria.
You cocksucker!
Now, if you've heard this band and you just look at the band for the sum of its parts, it's a supergroup. Phil Anselmo on vocals, Rex Brown on bass, Zakk Wylde on guitar, Charlie Benante on drums. To say that that band would get together and record an album, would it turn out badass? You'd assume it would. So that being said, Zakk Wylde was asked about this on a recent episode of Trunk Nation, and his answers actually give me a little bit of peace. Would I go if they were doing a half and half of classic Pantera shit and then whatever the fuck they spin this off into? Yes, I would. There's no scenario where I wouldn't go see it. Even if they recorded as Pantera, which I'm telling you they're not going to do, because Zakk Wylde himself has said fuck no to that. So on Trunk Nation, on Sirius XM, Zakk Wylde talked about the possibility of this reformed Pantera putting out some new music. He said, and I quote, "No, I think you would have to call it something else." You know what I mean? Pantera is those four guys. So yeah, you can't replace that. When he was further questioned about the whole thing, Zakk Wylde said, yeah, if that was ever a bridge we crossed, we'd have to wait until we get there. But right now, it's just the four of us celebrating what the fellas created. Fellas referring to the classic lineup. Now, Wylde has also said, just to make it clear, he is down to make some new music. He says, and I quote, "Yeah, of course. How could you call it Pantera unless it was just pre-existing material and we were going to record it? Stuff that was in demo state or whatever. And it is songs that the guys wrote. But as far as new songs, it would have to be, you'd call it something else." Now, even though there's been a really loud opposition to this lineup of Pantera touring, it's mainly been online. When you go to the shows, it's such a fucking love fest. If anything, it's just going to get bigger as it rolls, because that's what's been happening. It's been a snowball effect. I think it's eventually going to happen, because what the fuck is everybody else doing? I mean, at this point, this has to be bigger than anything that Zakk Wylde is doing with any of his other bands. Certainly the same can be said for Phil and really everybody there. Right now, like ticket for ticket, Pantera is one of the best-selling acts in all of rock music. So they all of a sudden they've become a force to be reckoned with, and the offers, I'm sure, have already been rolling in to see if those guys want to get together and do a new album of shit. I don't give a fuck if they're making music that sounds like Pantera, because it would make sense if you're going to take it out on the road with the Pantera classic shit, that you would want music that could blend in well with Pantera. But if you came out and made kind of Pantera sounding music, these motherfuckers online are so sensitive about it. God knows if they put their hands on any unfinished Pantera demos and finish them, like Zakk even referenced, I don't even think anybody would be cool with that.
You fucked it up! You fucked it up!
This band touring as Pantera, I get what people, I get the beef that people had with it. I myself didn't originally think that they were going to call it that, but obviously they have. The fact that anyone's talking about it at all means that, like, as far as I'm concerned, the wheel is in spin, as they say. This is gonna happen. It's just a matter of time, because once this tour is over, Phil's gonna want to keep the party going. He's been openly talking about how seeing all these young people at the shows, it's just completely revitalized him. One thing we know about Phil Anselmo is that motherfucker doesn't know when to walk away from the party, so he's gonna want to keep it going. And the only feasible thing is to make a new album that you could weave in with your classic Pantera shit. That's something Phil was already doing on the road before this whole thing popped up. He had an album he had done under the banner of Phil Anselmo and the Illegals, and they would come out and play a few of their songs, but that was kind of some shit you'd have to sort of like just live through to get to the point where he would come out and do something that he would refer to as a vulgar display of Pantera. So this is something that Phil has always wanted, to do this type of show. As I said, it's gonna happen. So you better fucking learn to love it. Do not try to call this shit Pantera. Well, fuck it. I guess we're gonna see. Anyways, moving on.